Puna Industrial Limited and the resource consent. Could I ask the candidates what they realistically expect they could do to either mitigate, reduce, or knock on the head the thing that they've been protesting against over recent weeks, or recent years, as Drew said, 7 years, but goes all the way back to 2005, obviously.
I'll stand up and take a shot at it for you, because to be perfectly honest, the council is the one that made the decision that this is going to happen, regardless of whether you want to say it's the commissioners that made the decision or who. The council made the decision. So if you're a council and elected to that council, you are obliged, because there is an appeal, to defend that decision, or decide not to defend that decision and walk away. I think one of the reasons that a lot of people, particularly in the wider area, are saying there's a whole lot of people from Te Puna that are standing for council because of TPIL, and that's, no, it's not. TPIL was the last straw. There's been so much that's been happening, and I think a few of the candidates actually hit on it. The power needs to come back to the elected officials to be starting to make some of those decisions and actually going out and listening to their constituents and the council and the people to actually see what they want. They need to have the council employees, as has been talked about by a lot of the people here, they need to be standing up and they need to make decisions. I mean, when you turn around, and I'll give you some quick numbers. In 2019, it was worked out that there were 4,500 passenger car equivalent movements on Te Puna Road. The road is built for 3,000. TPIL is going to add 774 vehicles, of which 189 of them are going to be trucks and trailers, which actually means 1,890 passenger car equivalents. You add that number to the rest, and you're saying, well, we're going to add another 2,000 passenger car equivalents, and you turn around and our council employees say that's less than minor. We've talked about, and I think somebody mentioned it, that we had people who are really qualified, who work for the council, who have left. We need to make sure we're retaining the best. We need to make sure we have a CEO who is going to actually value the employees and is actually going to make sure that they are listening to what has to happen. Yes, I know that they have the RMA, which they have to abide by, but in whose calculation is it when you add 50% more traffic to a road, can you have somebody write, the impact is less than minor? It's about accountability, and that's why
I agree with everything that Drew said, and I don't think anybody who lives in Te Puna actually wants this, and I think that, you know, personally, I live here. I mean, it affects us directly where we live as well, but it affects all of us, whether we think it's not going to or not. It definitely does. And you look what it's going to do to Te Puna Road with the 774 movements, vehicle movements added to that road. Absolutely unacceptable. Roading safety is the biggest issue out of this as well. Yes, it's a horrible, horrible concept having that container company there, but the safety of our roads is more important. So no, I'm totally opposed, and I believe in people power. Unfortunately, the system has failed us, but people power, you can achieve a lot of things with that. We've just had a big issue down here with Loop Road and the residents down there in terms of the TNL and with NZTA not communicating. And until, you know, we don't always know as elected members what's affecting everybody. You try and be all over everything, but you can't. But when we got onto this, well, when John and I met with them, and the guy basically, one of the guys, he said, well, you guys are useless, you don't even know what's going on. I said, yeah, I know, I agree with you, so let me try and sort something out. Anyway, so long story short, we've been able to, with those people, and walking that street, going to meetings with NZTA, and actually just harassing them for the information and making sure that sensible suggestions were made by locals. They've taken pretty much all of them on board, and those people are reasonably happy now, and it's a big deal for them what's happening there too. So no, I'm all about people power.
I've got much to say. Look, I attended the meeting down at the hall with the council, and I've stood on the corner over there a couple of times. I wasn't around when the decision was made, but it does seem to me that the decision doesn't make any sense at all. And I would encourage everybody here to go down and stand on the corner. I agree with Tracy, is that, you know, the power of people actually standing up and objecting to things is pretty good. So keep it up. I've got my full support.
At the risk of getting myself into trouble, which I'm accustomed to doing, look, I think this issue on Station Road goes back many, many years, and I think we can go back a long way to find the genesis of this problem. And I think there has been progressive failures all around the place to get to this position. Now, I'm not in favour of it at all. But what I am critically aware of, that there are lots of people who are affected on either side of this decision. Those of us who are opposed and those who are wanting to proceed with this. And I think what's really important to remember, that it does not matter what side of the fence you are on, you deserve to get a fair crack from your council. We don't always get what we want, but actually what we expect to get is straight up integrity and honesty, clarity of purpose, and I think it goes a long way back before this problem started and it's rolled out of control, failure after failure after failure. Now I want to take the opportunity to perhaps explore why that might be. The council has their internal performance measures. You want to go and look at page 17 of the annual report. The elected members of this organisation had a 38% success rate. That's their own measures. So I don't know how we can have confidence that we're ever going to get anything right anywhere else. And I don't want to see anything like this anywhere else. People deserve a fair go, they deserve honesty, they deserve integrity. I don't think anyone in the community got this time.
Can I be real quick, because we've got some new councillors here, and I was a new council once upon a time, and when I got elected at that by-election after the death of Blair Well, we did a bus tour with my new colleagues. I was joined halfway through the term, and we drove down Station Road on the bus, and I looked out the window and I turned to Ross Patterson, the brand new mayor, and I said, Ross, that had to be the worst decision council's ever made. Wow, did I get up nearly a hiding? He jumped down my throat. We didn't make that decision, the Environment Court did. And that's 22 years of festering since then. Once the solution that Sarah's forced me to consider, we could have the potential new chairman of the regional council sitting in row 1 or row 5 of this meeting today. Quayside holdings are one opportunity that some negotiation could go on. TPIL could retain some of that land and do what Bev saw was the original Environment Court handling, or more of a boutique, low impact. What the game changer is TPIL are turning up with all their truck movements and threatening to destroy Te Puna. That is the game changer. That's not just a small depot, a landscaping like it was originally envisaged. So there's one opportunity with the help of Quayside Holdings in Western Bay and the Regional Council and Ken Smiling and John Scrim's another candidate. There could be the opportunity for maybe a land swap, who knows? They do control Rangiu Business Park. That is a long shot, I know, but it's something that's worth pursuing, that the owners of TPIL could still come out on side, still could develop their, maybe Quayside take a swap, take a holding. Like I said, it's a long shot. I've talked too long, but that was an Environment Court decision, that was a Commissioner's decision. I know we council is true, but man, I'd vote against it every time for 20 years, but the RMA is more powerful than even a mayor. So even James can't stop this. So anyway, sorry.
I would just like to say I'm a qualified resource management commissioner. I can't be involved in anything because I've got a conflict of interest. It's not that long ago that you would choose resource management commissioners who knew the area and who knew it. And we have 3 really bad decisions This container one is a bad decision. The structure plan number 3 for Omokoroa, independent commissioners, they had a row of street, where is Rodney? I've got a bug with you, Rodney. You told us we had to swallow a dead rat and fund the roundabout with the money from Kaunga-Ora, and we couldn't go to the minister and complain about the fact that there was a street where you could not park a car, you could not garage a car, and we can't afford the public service, the public transport, to actually service that. That was the second bad mistake. And the third one is the marshes out at Pangaroa. And they have Plan Change 95. They did all the work. They had iwi support, they had everybody's support, but they didn't have council, and they didn't have the regional council. I don't know where we get these bureaucrats from, but I tell you, they've stuffed up this place quite considerably, and we have to change it. And I have to go back to that role. You choose people who know the area and who can assess it fairly and honestly, and don't bring these outsiders in who charge a fortune, over $90,000 the commissioners charged the marshes for doing their work, for turning them down. And so, yes, we can do better, but my golly, we need a better structure and a better service for our ratepayers than what we've got in that area.
Sorry, I just want to correct something a little bit there. I do agree, this started back, and Graham's been very right, this started back in 2002, okay? It went through, the council did turn it down, it went to the Environment Court made a decision. Now, that was a decision we didn't want, but there was like 100 conditions around that. But somewhere in there, between the councillor and the 3 developers, they took those 100 conditions and reduced them to about 15. So the original Environment Court ruling that came out had some very, very strict conditions. Now, nobody here can be blamed because they weren't part of that decision, but you need to understand that that's what happened. But where this council and councillors can be held accountable and should be held accountable is that I've shifted into this area 10 years ago, having lived in the Bay of Plenty basically for most of my life apart from a short period away, and we've been complaining about that for 10 years and the illegal activity. There is one consent for activity down there. Can anybody guess what that is? That is for a pack house. Is there a pack house down there? No. We had concrete crushing, we had demolition businesses, we had tyre stuff, we complained. This is where I talked about is we need our integrity and competence within the council staff as well to not turn around like they did at the meeting and said, if we have a consent, then we have something to hold them to. If they don't have a consent, it's harder. The guys put an illegal activity on site and we don't hold them accountable. So, yes, the council didn't make that decision, but the council needs to be held accountable for the mess that's happened since. And I want to make sure that doesn't happen anywhere else in the Western Bay.
Okay. So I think one of our biggest things here, and we're all aware of it, is the rapid population growth. And having been the independent chair for the Tauriko West, which is a large-scale urban development, I learned a lot of skills which I would bring into the Western Bay. And it's also about us listening to our community. And the answers actually lie within us, every one of us. And we just need to seek the right advice. So, yeah.